This is a roadmap to make $100,000 on YouTube. And it looks a little bit overcomplicated, which is how a lot of advice for creators out there feels like. Seemingly everybody on the internet has an answer to a question you didn't ask. Which brings up a bigger question. How do you turn attention into income without building something nobody wants? Because it's incredibly easy to launch something that you're excited about, but it absolutely hurts if nobody buys it. And that's why I called up Tintin. He developed this roadmap, but he only made it after people asked for it.
When I launched it, I got 15 people in, and I thought, okay, well now I need a framework.
Tintin earned his stripes as Ali Abdaal's head of YouTube, but then he quit. And now he helps educational creators build businesses that actually support them. So let's look at the reality behind the content to find out how he makes it work. All right, Tintin, I'm so excited to have this chat with you today because I've been aware of what you're doing for a while. And to be honest, your newsletter is probably the last creator related newsletter I actually read.
Okay, that's great. That's great to hear.
Yeah, I'm really curious to understand more about what you're doing and how you help creators now since leaving Ali's team. You made a name for yourself as the head of YouTube for Ali Abdaal, right? The kind of poster child of educational YouTube. And a bit more than a year ago, you ventured on your own and built this how to make 100K as a content creator or with content kind of framework. So yeah, I'm curious to learn more about it and maybe explain a little bit how you got here.
Cool. Well, I left Ali's team at the start of 2025, and I had this inkling when I left that more could be done to help YouTubers monetize and build a proper business. And I had already had a little bit of experience doing that, a couple clients on the side, but then also I learned a lot being part of Ali's part-time YouTuber Academy course, being a coach inside that program.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, I think there's a program specifically for YouTubers who are a little bit more advanced. So have a bit of an audience already, but are less skilled at the monetization side and just helping them. I was kind of, at the time, I was thinking just a community for YouTubers, let's say with 50,000 subscribers, something like that, getting, thousands of views per video and just help them build their business basically. And then when I left Ali's team, I didn't really know exactly what I was going to do, but that was kind of idea in my mind. And in February, so about a month, 6 weeks after I left, I thought, what was stopping me launching this kind of community program right now? And I launched an application form to my email list, which I'm very glad that you still read and enjoy. And I launched this application form and said, if you're a YouTuber getting thousands of views per video, fill this out. And if I think you're a good fit, then I'll kind of reach out with a link to booking a call. And that's what I did. And I kind of launched this program, less so a community, more a program that was like actually taking people through certain specific steps over a certain time horizon, which was 6 months. And when I launched it, I got 15 people in and I thought, okay, well now I need a framework. So I kind of actually need something. I didn't have anything. All I had was money in the bank, which is
Okay.
which is a great, well, it's an interesting place to be. It's like when you've sold someone on something and you're not exactly sure how to help them get the result that or you know how to, but you haven't built anything yet. And that's ironically what I help a lot of YouTubers do now, is to kind of go through that same process. So when I launched my own program, I thought I need a framework, I need a roadmap, and that's kind of when I connected all the dots of my own journey, of other YouTubers, and Ali's journey, and put together the 100K YouTuber roadmap, which is just a fun name, really, for how to build a YouTube business that you can go full time on. That was really the goal. And it wasn't so much like you have to make 100K a year or that it's all about the money. It was just like, it's a fun name for a full time YouTube business, basically.
I see that a lot with creators, that there is a differentiation between creators that know how to run a business and people who just want to make content. I'm kind of curious to hear from you. How do creators make money? Because it seems quite obvious to some people, but I think there's more to it than the average person assumes.
Yeah, I think most people assume that you get paid for brand deals mostly. It's like the biggest
Hmm.
way. And that's relatively self-explanatory. If you have a bit of an audience, you can someone will pay you to talk about their product. And that's been going on for the beginning, since the beginning of advertising, beginning of time, really. It's like if you have eyeballs, then you can sell them. And if it's another company who wants those eyeballs.
Hmm.
um, so that's, I think, how a lot of creators got monetized or started making money to start with. But then it depends on whether you're a kind of entertainment content creator or educational content creator. There are different options available to you. But for educational YouTubers, which is typically who I work with, the most common methods beyond just sponsorships and the money that you get paid from YouTube are like coaching, so where you work directly with your audience, whether it's one to one or in a group, offering some kind of service to your audience, like a done for you service where you actually help them do a specific thing for them, uh, a community, a course, other kinds of digital products, and those are typically the main options, really, and the ones that are most successful.
And so, what's the framework that you built around it? What is the thing you're actually teaching the people in your course in your community?
Yeah. So in my program, I essentially walk people through the 100K YouTube roadmap, which
Hmm.
is a slightly long and unnecessarily complicated, probably, roadmap for how to kind of build an audience and monetize it in a way that is sustainable, rather than where you are doing brand deals. And essentially, the steps are: make videos on YouTube about something that you have achieved, something that you can teach people that is based on your own kind of personal accolades, and make great videos consistent on YouTube, build the audience, and then really try and intimately understand who those people are who watch your videos, and then make something that actually helps them make that same transformation. That instead of watching your videos for free, they can pay to get more help. So, an example is Arman Manazir, who has a software engineering channel.
Hmm.
He teaches people in his videos to land software engineering jobs and how to get a software engineering job. And then if you want to pay to get his help, he has a coaching program to allow you to do that, or to help you do that. And that's basically it. The steps to actually get to that point is understand your audience, build out some kind of test offer, launch that offer to your audience, see how it goes. If you get some customers, great, deliver to them, and then figure out whether you want to double down on that offer. If you do, make it amazing, get some proof that it works, and then just consistently sell it via your YouTube channel and your email list. So I didn't really mention email list there, but it's a big part of uh, the business model for most educational YouTubers.
Yeah. The email list, I definitely also want to open up a loop there. But you said two key things there. That was like understand your audience and build some kind of test offer. The test offer probably makes sense to a lot of people, but the understand your audience part,
Mm.
how do you think about that? How can people that create content understand their audience better? Because I assume that goes beyond looking at the YouTube dashboard.
Yeah. I mean, that's one quite helpful source of data.
Hmm.
It's ultimately about collecting data to understand your audience. It's like, who are they? How do they describe themselves? What is their current situation? What is their desired situation? And what is stopping them kind of making that leap and transformation in their life? What are the obstacles stopping them going from where they are to where they want to be? That's what we're trying to understand. And so it's really just collecting data from all over, including a few kind of specific things. So the YouTube Studio is one source. You
Hmm.
can be like, okay, typically my audience is more men in the US and they are older, for example. That's like some great data. It tells you a little bit about who they are and where they are right now. But then you can also look at YouTube comments. You can look at the comments people leave on your videos, but also on your community tab. You can leverage the community tab a lot to interact with your audience, run audience polls and things like that. But the two biggest things that I recommend that people do that actually tell you about your audience at the most are to run an audience survey. So just a free Google form that you just share in a video or in an email or in the YouTube community tab, where you're asking questions about uh, your audience, like where they are now, where they want to be, what are all their problems. And then also hopping on free calls. So you just talk to your audience one on one on a call and ask them about their goals and their challenges and collect that data. And then you think, okay, loads of people have told me they really struggle to get a software engineering job. Maybe I can help them do that. And that's just business. It's solving people's problems.
Mm, really good. I've also found that jumping on calls and just listening to people is probably the best way to really understand what people are struggling with.
Yeah, absolutely. You just get gold nuggets that you can't really get elsewhere because people feel a bit safer, like they can share information and you can ask them more specific questions. And typically, if you do, 30 plus calls with your audience,
Mhm.
that's a good number to aim for. You just get a ton of data that would otherwise be quite hard to get.
And so the second part of this equation was to launch some kind of a test project or test offer. What does that look like?
There's a few different forms this can take depending on what you're actually doing. The simplest one is a wait list where you share a wait list with your audience to just say, I am doing this thing to help you solve this problem and help you achieve this outcome. Would you like to join the waitlist for it? So a good example is I have someone I work with is a web designer and is helping people is helping people kind of make money as a web designer and
Mhm.
learning how to get clients and deliver great work for them as a web designer. And he is launching a course and he has just launched his waitlist. He's now got 1,000 people on his waitlist. And so the test is essentially promoting the waitlist and seeing how many people sign up to it. Because if 50 people sign up to it versus 1,000, that's a very different outcome. And you can kind of estimate how many people you should be getting on the waitlist depending on your audience size and all of this kind of thing. But he's getting very strong signals that this is a good thing to do. So he's going ahead with making the course. Whereas if he only got 50 people to sign up to it, he would just pull the plug. He'd say, sorry, I didn't get enough interest in this. I'm not going ahead with making the course. Very simple way to test out whether something is worth building or not.
I think that's where a lot of people maybe get caught up a little bit by this, like, let the audience decide what they actually want. They're like, ooh, I have this idea for product, course, whatever.
Yeah,
And then they don't get enough signups. And either they go ahead with it regardless, or they feel like a personal failure, where it might have been just like a packaging failure.
exactly. Yeah. The trick is to also think about it like YouTube, which is if no one clicks on your video, no one watches it. And so the title and thumbnail is very important. It's the same with a good offer. Is that the landing page and the actual offer behind what you are doing is very, very important. If no one is going to, there's no point trying to build anything before you know that someone is actually interested and potentially going to buy this thing that you've come up with. And so, yeah, it's all about trying to figure out, trying to make like a small test to see if people are actually interested in solving the problem that you want to help them solve.
Yeah. And so this whole plan sounds perfectly reasonable to me on paper. But I'm sure you have seen people that execute this whole thing better and some people do it worse. Do you have any idea of like what are the traits of people that make it happen, or what are the factors that really make it work?
The first thing I think is picking the right offer for their audience. So a lot of people have a very strong desire around the kind of business they want to build and it either being like very passive and trying to sell courses or they don't want to do one to one. So they do straight to group or something like that. But the people who succeed the most, they choose the right option for their channel and their audience and take the every step in order. So if you have a big enough audience, the numbers that I share typically or I recommend are 100,000 monthly long form views on your YouTube channel. If you are above that and you have more than 10,000 email subscribers, then you can afford to offer something or sell something that is low ticket. And by low ticket, I mean around $300 for a self paced course.
Hmm.
Because your audience is big enough, you'll probably be able to get enough sales to make it worth your time. If your audience is smaller than that, if you're getting less than 100,000 monthly long form views and less than 10,000 email subscribers, it is much better to sell something that is high ticket, which is typically one-to-one coaching or group coaching. That's the first important choice, is choosing the right business model for you. And most
Hmm.
YouTubers generally are unable, it's better for them to do something that is high ticket. So choosing the right thing for you, and then also taking the steps to execute it in the right way. So with high ticket, that would mean hopping on calls with people, figuring out what they actually want, making the landing page that actually represents what they want, and a good VSL, a good video sales letter that actually describes, accurately hits their pain points and outlines what they want, and then allow people to apply for your coaching program or in some way, or book in a call. So the steps are quite simple, but the people I think who succeed the most, they are the ones who choose the right model and follow the simple steps, rather than try to reinvent the wheel, or and try to force a business that won't quite work with their niche or with their audience.
That makes a lot of sense. So one thing you casually mentioned here is a VSL, a video sales letter, if I heard that
Yes.
correctly.
Yeah.
Can you expand on that?
A video sales letter is just when you go to any landing page, and you see a video on it, and
Hmm.
it's trying to get you to take some kind of action. So if you go to my landing page, I have a video there that says, if you are a YouTuber getting over 1,000 views per video and you want to build a business around your channel that does sort of 6 figures a year or more, then I've got a program for you. Well, I built this for you, is what I say in the video. And I say, this is kind of the problems that people typically experience. This is my proof in helping people solve those problems. This is how I'm going to help you solve those problems. And if you're interested, then you can book in a call directly with me, and we can talk about whether it's the right fit for you. And that is essentially my video sales letter. And I'm kind of selling people on the idea of my program, essentially. And it's a very effective way to get people to book in calls, to apply. And ultimately, the game then becomes just about sending as many people as possible, sending the right people, but as many of them as possible, to your page. And hopefully they book in a call. And that's how you make sales. That's how I make sales. And it's how a lot of people make money online, is a sort of video sales letter funnel.
And I would guess that big part of that, getting the right people there, is the email list.
Yes, absolutely. Because people on your email list are generally going to be the right people. Because if you have made good email lead magnets and you put them on your YouTube channel or your content platforms, you bring in those people onto your email list, you know that that group of people is going to be the right people to send to your landing page. But also, if you make the right content, then you can also just direct people from that content to your landing page as well, which I do from YouTube. And people do book in straight from YouTube. So it's a content thing, whether it's on YouTube or on email. But ultimately, your email list is that bit more curated in terms of the audience and who's actually on the list.
And if I'm not mistaken, your email list is kind of the first thing that you built almost. I don't know if it was before your first channel or after your first channel.
Yeah, my email list was a funny one because when I first started making videos online, when I first started posting anything online, was about 5 years ago. And I was super, super nervous about posting content online. And so
Hmm.
I decided to just start an email newsletter, because I was like, I've seen people do this. I saw Ali do it. And I was like, I think I can do that. And I think I can send the first few to myself. And I was like, how can I make this as easy as possible to start? So I sent the first 4 email newsletters to myself, just me. And they were about random life lessons kind of thing, quite a common thing that often people write about when they first get started. And I had that email newsletter for a while. I still have it. And then when I was working with Ali, I thought, you know what, I'm going to start an email newsletter documenting some of the learnings from my job and about YouTube. And Ali was very kind in allowing me to do that. And so I kind of shared that email newsletter. I started that email newsletter, and then Ali kind of shared it a few times. I posted about it on Twitter and on YouTube, and I grew that email list to a few thousand people whilst I was working with Ali. And some other people gave me shout outs as well. all that kind of thing. And so by the time I left my job, I had about 4,000 people or so on the email list, which was quite significant, and they were all it was a reasonably well curated list. So Ali helped me build it, but I also built a lot of it myself with different content and other kind of referrals as well. So I kind of built it. I built it alongside making content, but it was a core thing to me that meant I knew I could go and quit the job versus like I didn't have a YouTube channel that at the time that gave me that confidence. It was the email newsletter.
Do you have any kind of idea what makes a good newsletter, or what to put in the newsletter versus what to package into a program?
Interesting question. I guess a newsletter has a few goals that you want to achieve in writing a good one. So you want it to be personal and to you, so unique to you that no one else could write, and your viewers feel that connection with you. You want it to be a kind of relationship building asset. So in the same way it's personal, but it helps people connect with you. People feel a greater sense of trust, much like a YouTube video. You're trying to build trust, you're trying to build connection, trying to build the relationship. The third thing is that you want it to have one very clear message. So email newsletters that have too many things going on, too many points that they're trying to make, too many lessons, can get a little bit overwhelming. Whereas if you write a good email that has one clear message behind it, you can then, at the end of it, position your program as the next kind of obvious step, or your product as the next obvious step. And some people will take up that option. That's if you're selling something. If you're not selling anything, then newsletters can take all different shapes and sizes. But generally, if they're personal and you build the relationship and they have one core message, that's a good starting point. And then in terms of what to share versus in your program, I don't think there's a good coaching program has a lot more to offer than just information. So you can share whatever you want, I think, in your email newsletter. But ultimately, it's about adding value, building trust, and helping people get closer to the outcome that they are following you for. So if they're following you for, audience monetization, or landing a job, or learning the guitar, or whatever it might be, your email newsletters help them get closer to that outcome.
You make it all sound so simple.
Well, I'm glad that you think so. I don't, it's not always so simple in my mind when I'm doing it as well. I'm like, oh, what should I write today? Or am I doing all the right things? And it's always in the reality for everyone is always quite challenging. It's easy to talk about the principles and the ideas behind this stuff.
Yeah. Talking a little about the lived experience, like a big part of who you are in the creator space is being part of Ali's team for a couple of years. And he has been this presence in the YouTube space and kind of almost acted like an incubator for a group of people, not just within his team, but also with the PTYA course. Can you share a little bit what made this environment kind of special? Like what was in the water, so to speak, that facilitated all of this energy?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's actually, I think it's the most common question I get asked, on on podcasts in general.
Because it is a
And
very unique.
it is quite unique. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is quite unique. I think it's unique because Ali is unique. He is rare in his approach to his team members. At least when I was there, I'm obviously not there anymore, so I don't know what if things have changed. But he was just very supportive and encouraging of people building up their own side hustles, people learning the skills of entrepreneurship, and leveraging his brand to kind of for credibility and all that kind of stuff. He was just very, very supportive of it, very encouraging. Just wanted people to do whatever they wanted to do, and he's just a great guy in that regard. And I have a lot of respect for him, and try to embody that in myself in everything I do. But it's hard. Ali is uniquely generous, I think, in that regard. Is that he, created this environment where his philosophy was throughout the company, which is like he was just trying to build a life for himself where he didn't have to worry too much about like being told what to do, worry too much about money, and he just had a kind of sustainable lifestyle business. And I think being part of his business, everyone learned those skills, and so after a while, you just become more confident in your ability to make money away from the job. And so, sort of, the side effect of being there is that you think after a while, maybe I can go do this myself and I can make a bit more money and have my own business. And that's ultimately what a lot of people have gone on to do. And maybe, or one final thought is, and maybe one reason why it is maybe more known is that a few people have made YouTube videos about it. Whereas I think this pattern, including me, I think this pattern actually is very common where people join small businesses, join creators, learn the skills of building a business, and realize it's not as complicated as it seems from the outside, and that it
Hmm.
is possible, and then go out and try to do it themselves. Whereas I think just with Ali, lots of his team have made videos about it. And so it's just a little bit more public. But I think the pattern actually repeats across lots of different businesses and creators.
And I think one of those videos that a lot of people have made is the like, I quit working for Ali Abdaal, but you also quit a job as a consultant. So both kind of positions that are from the outside very respectable. How did you make the decision to quit, or when did you know it was the right choice to move on to something else?
Well, yeah, I guess it was the same thoughts, not the same thoughts, similar thoughts from the consulting job as well. But ultimately, I just knew that I've always thought a lot about where am I going to learn the most. And in Ali's company, I had reached a point where the learning has started to plateau in my role as the kind of YouTube producer or head of YouTube, which is really a title that I made up for myself and just kind of ran with it. So I kind of reached the natural plateau of learning in that role, and there wasn't anything else in the company that I was like really excited to go and do or learn. And if I really wanted to try something else, I'm sure Ali and Angus, the general manager, kind of would have encouraged me to do that. But really, what I wanted to do was learn about building my own business. That was like the thing that excited me. And so I thought that's what I've got to go and do. And I sort of grappled with that for a while, for quite a few months. I was like, well, is this the right call? Am I giving up something great here? And so it wasn't an easy decision to make. But ultimately, it was because I thought there was going to be more learning and more growth in a different environment and starting my own business. And also, Ali had moved to Hong Kong. And so I knew that the job was going to be remote, and I was less interested in a remote job. And that combined with the kind of, the learning reducing, I just thought, the next obvious thing is let's go see if I can do this myself.
And how has this experience been like doing your own business,
Yeah,
taking care of other clients?
it's a very good question because I honestly think it's the question that I would wanted to hear someone answer when I still had a job. Is like, how is it actually to make the leap, to make the transformation?
Hmm.
And things have gone well financially and um, emotionally in general. Like the whole journey has been good on paper, but there are always ups and downs. And I think I saw an Alex Hormozy clip today, which I just think is so good. He's just he's a fountain of wisdom. And he was talking to this entrepreneur about who wanted to sell their business. The entrepreneur was Alex asked kind of, why do you want to sell your business? And he said, well, I've just been working super hard for a long time and I kind of want to, go out and see the world. And Alex was like, but what are you actually going to do? And he was like, well, I'm not sure. I just kind of want to go out and see the world. And he was like, listen, I can save you this part. You're going to work. You're going to find like some work that you're going to come back to after you sell your business. And we always want what we don't have. He was like, entrepreneurs want jobs. People with jobs want to be entrepreneurs. People with kids think about the times they didn't have kids. People who don't have kids want kids. And I was just like, obviously everyone, the grass is always greener. People know that concept, but just hearing him
Sure.
talk about it and specifically calling out this thing around entrepreneurs wish they just had a stable paycheck, and people who have jobs want to be entrepreneurs. Like, I was just like, that is how it is. Like, I regularly think about, oh man, it would just be nice sometimes, like some days, just to wake up and not have the weight of the business on my shoulders. And I think sometimes I take it, I find it like more maybe emotional than it needs to be. It's just my personality type. But overall, I love running the business and I think it's great. But I think it is so easy to fantasize about running your own business when you have a great job.
Has there anything been harder than you expected or more unexpected than you thought it would be?
I guess I was quite confident that I could make it work as a business. So I wasn't that surprised when I was managed to get people to join my program, to be honest. As time has gone on, I think the growth in the business comes from you actively kind of growing it. And a lot of growth is quite like doing the same actions again and again, day after day. And I think that is something that I find like just recently I've started to feel like a little bit like, oh, this is interesting. A lot of what growth looks like at this stage is doing a lot of the same things again and again for a long time. And yeah, it's hard to balance the kind of entrepreneur side of business and also the artist side of like being a business owner is like, making videos and writing things that you really want to write and really want to talk about and enjoying kind of being an artist, but then also being an entrepreneur who does the work that's required to grow the business. I find that balance is more challenging, I guess, than I could have anticipated when I left. Is that something you ever think about, like the artist entrepreneur struggle?
That aspect 100%. The way you just phrased it of like doing the same thing repeatedly over and over, that's what business looks like. I haven't heard it phrased this way, and that makes so much sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it depends what business you're in, but ultimately, it's kind of about make content or run ads, like get leads, sell the leads, and then deliver to the leads. And ultimately, it's just about doing those things like again and again, but better and better, and hiring people to help you do all those things. And it's a lot of the same actions, kind of repeated over a long time.
And you've recently opened up a free community for YouTubers that want to grow. Is that an effort to bring something new into your life, something more exciting, or lead generation, or something else entirely?
It's a combination of everything, really. It's a bit of fun. It's uh, an experiment for like lead gen for sure. It's a good lead magnet. Bring people in, find interesting YouTubers who follow me, who like kind of surface them a little bit because sometimes
Hmm.
people follow you without really you don't know who they are, and then they join your community, and you're like, oh, okay, I can see this person with this channel. Maybe I'll send them a DM, check in like how they're doing, get to know more people, connect with more people, also just help more people because a lot of what I do, and I think what motivates, most content creators, most educational YouTubers is helping people and helping as many people as possible. And I think a free group like that is quite interesting. It's quite fun. And so I'm looking forward to seeing how the experiment goes. Yeah. So it's a combination of things really. It's a bit of fun, it's a bit of novelty, it's a bit of yeah, it makes sense from a business perspective because I've seen lots of people, leverage a free school group very well, and yeah, so that's the kind of reason why. And it's only been about a week, and we've got a couple hundred members in there already, so I'm excited to see where it gets to.
With the free groups, it's always signing up is quite easy,
Yeah,
but then very quickly you see who actually sticks around and who is really engaged.
yeah. It's going to definitely be a bit of a learning curve, and also for me to get used to running it and engaging in it and all of that kind of stuff. I might turn out to be too much work, and I'll and I'll close it down. Um, we will see. We will see.
We touched on this a little bit earlier, but on a more broader scale, because I think you are quite uniquely positioned in this space of having seen a variety of creators, of YouTubers. What do you think is the difference between the people that quote unquote make it or that stay in the game versus the one that's kind of fade away over time?
Mm. I think the answer to that is the people who stick around the longest typically have a business around something that they are intrinsically or innately excited about and passionate about. Like if whatever you're teaching, whatever you're making content about, it is something that you genuinely are interested in, want to keep learning about, are excited to keep learning about. And that is quite a high bar because people do get bored of stuff. And when you teach the same thing for a decade, it's completely reasonable to think, you know what, I'm a bit tired of teaching this. I'm a bit tired of talking about this. Someone like Alex Hormozy, who looks like he's going to stay the course and be around for a long time. He's just genuinely, I think, very interested in the business world and what he does in helping people build businesses and building his business. And I think he's just kind of, intrinsically passionate about doing that. And I think it's when people try to do something that is not quite aligned with them. So I think Alex Hormozi has inspired a lot of people to build businesses, which is amazing. But I think a lot of people end up building businesses that they don't really want to build or don't care about or like do for the wrong reasons. So I think money is obviously a part of why people do stuff, a big part a lot of the time, but it can't be the only reason that you're doing what you're doing. Otherwise you do just lose passion for it. And I think passion, excitement, and engagement are the key ingredients to people enduring. I was talking to someone yesterday, a friend of mine who I bumped into in WeWork in London. He has a business helping international students and immigrants get jobs in the UK. So yeah, that's his business. And he's lost passion for it. He's completely lost passion for it. And every day feels a little bit like a grind, turning up to work and getting it done. But the business itself is making like 30 to 40 to 50K a month. And it's like a very successful business on paper. It's quite profitable, but he's just completely lost passion for it. And so he just doesn't want to do it anymore. So he's trying to find ways to get out. And that's it. If he was super passionate about it, it would keep going. If given that he's not, it will at some point come to a close probably. And so that I think is the key ingredient for like longevity. It's just you being interested and excited about the thing that you are building. And if you get bored of it, it's very hard to push through.
Combining that with what you said earlier about work or success is just like doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
How do you, because you also have a channel, right? And you teach people how to make videos. And at some point, I think you reach a moment where it's just like, I've said everything, or like, how do you figure out what to make more videos about? What is the content strategy aspect of this all?
Yeah. Yeah. I think every YouTuber who's been making videos for a few years will relate to that. When I was working with Ali, he would always say, you know, oh, I've spoken about that already, or I've made this video already, or like made a version of this video already. Doesn't feel good to talk about the same things again. I think the realization is that the job is to talk about a lot of the same things, but find fun ways to talk about them for you, novel ways to talk about them that make it more exciting for you and for the audience. And so, yeah, if you got so bored to the point you can't make the videos, then that's a challenge. But the content strategy is like find the fun in it, learn to come up with new ways to talk about the same things, and do what you can to keep it exciting for you and for the audience. And I think that is a challenge. And you have to run experiments. You have to be like, right, what if I make this kind of video or this kind of video? That seems kind of fun. Let me try that. Or I've never thought of that before. Let's try this video. For example, at the moment, some videos that I really like making are these case study videos where I talk about a specific YouTuber and their journey. And I get clips from a conversation that I've had with them and kind of clip those in. And then I like scripting out that video. I like filming it. I get really pumped up when I'm filming about like their journey. I'm like, look how cool this is. This person had no idea what they were doing. This is their YouTube channel. And now they've ended up here. And it's absolutely amazing, like what they're doing right now. And I get quite pumped up when I'm filming those. And so that's some video that I hadn't made before February this year. So a few months ago, I hadn't made that kind of video before. And now it's like a piece of content I really like making. You get to apply the same lessons, but with a new kind of context, with a new example. And so I say, look how they do this thing that lots of other people have done. So I talk about the same lessons across all the videos, but apply them to like a specific YouTuber. And I really enjoy that. So yeah, it's about finding new ways to enjoy it, new experiments, keeping it fun. Because if you do lose passion, that is the biggest threat to the business, I think, is you not enjoying it.
And if you think about a creator who is somewhere in this messy middle of knowing what they're doing, but either they didn't break through yet or they just don't have a functioning business, what's your advice to them?
Focus on learning skills. I think is a really good piece of advice. Try not to like think too much about, have a general idea of what you want from why you're doing this, what the outcome is that you're working towards. But I think focus on learning the required skills to get you to that outcome. So focus on learning the skills to make good videos, get people onto an email list, to understand your audience, the skills of like sales and marketing and making an offer. And I think trying not to force something too much, following the signals from your audience and from YouTube. I think when you try to force something too much, it doesn't feel very good. And the pressure feels like it gets too high. And if you're trying to force, you like really need to make money and you're trying to force something to work, it just never feels very good. So it's much better if you're following the signals from YouTube, from your audience, focusing on learning the skills at each step and just trying to kind of take it each day as it comes, rather than trying to have some grand vision and perfectly sort of architect your way towards it. I think is tricky to do that. So yeah, that would be the advice that give myself a few years ago.
So keeping that in mind, what does success look like for you?
Oof, deep question. Success for me looks like waking up each day excited to work on the things that I am working on, to be making like a good living from what I'm doing and feeling excited about all the work, to kind of be making progress. I think for me, like when I'm not making progress, I get that upsets me. I get like I think it irks my soul a little bit. And that's something I'm trying to work on, I guess, like internally. But I like to make progress in the business to feel like I'm working towards the next milestone of some kind, and ultimately to be, yeah, helping people build a life that they love, which is Ali's kind of whole vision statement. But in my in my in my world, that's with their YouTube channel and with their YouTube business. So I like helping people do that, and yeah, and have enough time to spend with my friends and family. That's what success, like a big part of what success looks like for me.
As always, there is an uncut version of this conversation over on Patreon, the Creator Trust Club. But if you want to better understand the dynamics between being a creator, building a business, and how traditional media has already solved a lot of your problems, check out the Orbit newsletter. The link for that is down in the description. I hope to see you there.